And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, I'm Tom Vasel, and today we're taking a look at a series, the Penny Paper Adventures. We have the Temple of Apukabu, the Valley of Wairakoka, and Skull Island, the easiest one to pronounce. This is a series of what we call roll and write games, where you roll dice, you write something on a sheet of paper, everyone does it. If you've never played one of these before, they're like Yahtzee. Now what I'm doing in this video is I'm just going to be going over all three of them, doing a little bit of comparing and telling you what I think of them. If you want to see full reviews of each of them, Z Garcia has done them each individually, but I also wanted to talk about them a little bit and about the series as a whole. So for comprehensive stuff, check him out. For an overview, here we go. Let's take a look at them. Now first I want to talk about the theme. I'm a really big fan of the theme. I like the idea of Penny Papers being an adventurer, a strong female role model going out. Now the themes are not extremely strong in these, but they never are on roll and writes anyway. Now incidentally, they have the ages here, 7 and up, 8 and up, 9 and up. Honestly, this is really silly, right? First of all, I think that this one is easily more complex than this one by a factor of like almost doubly complex. I just think these are odd. The only thing I can see is that they're just basically trying to tell you the order of complexity. When you open each of the boxes, they're going to have very similar things to them, and they have very similar game styles. They each have these sheets in them. They have dice in them. The dice are essentially very similar, with the dice with the penny symbol on them, and then there's a red symbol on the dice, and that red symbol is going to be different from game to game. Now each of these comes with 2 pads of paper, full color, with 2 different maps on each of the different sides of the paper. The games say on the box, they say that it can play up to 100 people. Sure, whatever, but realize if you play with 100 people, you are literally playing the game once. All right, so whatever, but I mean, you get more sheets and all, but essentially you can play with as many people as you want to. Now the games have, like I said, 3 dice. The dice have different numbers on them, with penny on one of the sides, a die that has a green symbol that will be used for something, and a die that has a bad symbol. We have a mummy, a skull, and a snake. Each of these you are going to be rolling, and you're going to be writing numbers down in them. Here you're just trying to get numbers next to each other. This is the simplest one, and the snakes are going to be taking points away, but the mummies will be taking points away. Over here, this one is the one I think that is the easiest for the bad things, because the bad thing will only happen 5 times at max here. In this one, you are trying to place numbers in such a way to make coordinates to get a treasure, trying to get a number on 4 sides of a spot, with these ships becoming wild. And on this one, you are trying to make different patterns with numbers on the board, like have 5 different numbers next to each other, or 4 numbers next to each other in a square, or 3 in a L like this that are 6 or higher, or 4 that are 10 or higher. When you're placing numbers in these, you're going to be able to add the numbers together or use them separately. And when you roll dice, everyone is going to be doing something. Now, one thing I highly dislike about these games is that when you roll the negative thing, the rules say everyone throws their sheet in the middle, you grab a random person's sheet, pull it out, and write on it. That's super confusing and awkward, and you might as well just hand it to the person next to you, okay, just the person to your right. I'm surprised they have this weird randomizing thing. The problem is that I know they're trying to put interaction into each of these games here. The problem is that interaction is just stifling, especially in this one. This is my least favorite of the 3. This is my favorite, second, third. And I'll just tell you right now, I would probably rank this one a 7, this one a maybe a 6, and then this one a 4. And the reason why is in this one you are building very specific patterns. And if you build like 3 of a pattern here of this triangle and a snake is rolled, they're easily going to put that snake there to block you. And it just becomes an exercise in futility if a lot of snakes are rolled. And that will happen sometimes. The snake is on every 6 side of the die, and sometimes it's going to show up more often than not, and someone is going to block you. And it doesn't feel like there's any real deep strategy into putting these snakes out other than to block someone in the most obvious spot possible. The blocking happens in these 2 games also, but here it's mitigated by the fact that it only happens 5 times, and here it's, by the way, just I guess I should mention that this one here is Skull Island, just so we're not confused. This one here is the temple this is the temple, of Abacapao. This one is Skull Island, and this is the Valley of Wiracocha. But anyway, in the Skull Island one, you're only going to have 5 negative things happen to you. This one is not as keen on me as for this one, because the actual act of putting out the 4 coordinates is not as easy to see as I would like it to be. All of these are a little difficult to see what's going on the board when you're drawing lines all over the place. They're not as clear as they would be. This one here is the simplest, and this is the one I would recommend. And so that's kind of what I think about each of the 3. Each of the 3 does a unique thing, and it adds this theming to it, right? So this theming can work. But this negative interaction is going to wildly vary from games to games. There's going to be games where it doesn't show up much, and you will probably likely enjoy those. Then there's games where it's going to show up a lot, especially in this one. It will be it drastically takes this game and makes it less fun, and this one is even a little bit less fun when a bunch of these are rolled. But I still enjoyed these 2 games, and I like them. I just wonder, there are so many of these roll and write games out there that I'm not sure that these bring anything dramatically new to the table other than the theming and just really how pretty these look, because these certainly are high quality games. So there you go. 3 penny papers. The idea of having roll and write games in a series is a good one. These are from Sit Down. Sit Down makes great games, and they put a lot of high quality into these. And even though I'm not as big of a fan, I think that you won't do half bad at least trying them out and giving them a whirl. And even though the Temple here is definitely my least favorite of the bunch, I imagine some people will enjoy it more than I did. And again, if you don't have a lot of negative interaction, it can be fun. The concept of it, of finding different things and drawing shapes, that one appeals to me more than the other ones. The negative stuff actually brings it down that much. The other ones, the Valley is really simple. You're just trying to make a string of numbers next to each other, go in an ascending group of numbers. That's easy and simple. Skull Island is the most cerebral of the group, I think, honestly, but it mitigates the bad stuff the best. Either way, I'm glad these games exist. I like the theming of them. I think some people will enjoy them a lot more than others. I wouldn't mind seeing another one in this series, but I would hope that they necessarily don't hamper themselves by saying, hey, we always have 3 dice. We always have a bad thing happen. We always throw papers in the middle and pull out. I don't know that you need to be hampered by that. Why not let the theme be the connecting thing and put in an excellent roll and write game? Those are my thoughts. The penny papers, check them out.